Welcome again to today's webinar, What to Expect in Leadership Circle Certification. We are thrilled to have you with us for this conversation about what the certification journey actually looks like and what you can expect from the experience of becoming an LCP certified practitioner. Taking us through this journey are two of Leadership Circle's certification faculty members and community ambassadors, Vinay Kumar and Deirdre Rausch. Vinay brings a rare combination of lived leadership experience and deep coaching expertise to all of his coaching and teaching engagements. He's worked with hundreds of leaders around the world, helping them grow through the development of greater self-awareness, through deep reflection, and also through practical action. And known for his calm presence, his thoughtful questions, and for being an exceptional listener, Vinay helps leaders and coaches unlock the kind of lasting growth that transforms not just how they work, but also how they live. With career experience that spans major corporations, international organizations, and nonprofit settings, Deirdre understands the complexity of leading across cultures, navigating change, and that special balancing act between business demands and personal growth. Drawing on both her engineering background and her passion for mindfulness and emotional intelligence, she helps leaders strengthen their self-awareness, their resilience, and their effectiveness through an authentic presence and her ability to connect. Students of Deirdre praise her ability to create the kind of coaching environment where leaders can grow with confidence while staying true to themselves. I'm so pleased to welcome both of you. I know that we're in for a treat hearing from you today. So thank you so much, Vinay, Deirdre, for doing this. With that, I'm really going to hand it over, and the stage is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Sarah. I love that introduction. Vinay, I don't think I've ever been better introduced than that. So I'm feeling like we must live up to this now.
No pressure.
So we're so glad to have you here and really talk to you about the Leadership Circle Profile Certification, which is something we both love and do often together. Vinay and I actually live in the Washington Metro, DC area, about 15 minutes from each other. So we get a chance to work together a lot. And it's one of our passions to do this work with the Leadership Circle. Vinay, anything you want to add before we jump right in?
No, I say let's roll it.
Okay, we're going to roll it then. So just starting, knowing that this is a balance between trying to get all of the great information about the certifications in, and for you also to have a chance to ask questions. We'll start quickly with this slide. Please feel free, if you need a question answered, to raise your hand. We'll also be taking a longer question and answer session at the end. So if it's a question that we can answer that's more of a general question, if you can hold to the end, that would be great. But if it's something that you see that you just need the answer, also feel free to raise your hand. And we do want this to be interactive. It's all about like you getting what you need. Like it's really about you getting what you need from the certification questionnaire, and for you to be able to say, hey, I want to register for that. So just know that we are here to make sure that's comfortable for you. So this is the first slide. It's just really to make sure, like when you're on the airplane and, they say, hey, this airplane's going to Chicago. If you're not going to Chicago, get off. So everyone should be here for this one. Jumping in for our purpose at the Leadership Circle is something we take very seriously. When we do certifications, we also kick off with this. And I'm just going to read it for you. Our purpose. We exist to evolve the conscious practice of leadership, to steward the planet, and to awaken us all to our inherent unity. Again, we exist to evolve the conscious practice of leadership, to steward the planet, and to awaken us all to our inherent unity. Again, this is important for us and weaves through everything we do, and you will see it in the certification again and again. What I'd love is just to stop sharing for a minute and just to have you put into the chat, like, how does this purpose resonate with you? And I know we have almost 40 of us, so we won't necessarily come off mics to do this as we're just starting, but I'd love to just hear, like, how does this actually intersect with the work you do? And what does the purpose mean to you? What part's most important? We've got one kumbaya. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad one. I like Kumbaya myself, so I think that's a really good one. Anyone else? Yeah, I can show the phrase again, no problem. Resonates deeply. Clients want to be more human-centric, knowing yourself as a person and human is the first step. Yeah, aligns deeply with my way of knowing. Great. Okay. The intention behind leadership. Yeah. Again, for us, that conscious practice of leadership, the stewarding the planet and the awakening ourselves to our inherent unities, those are all important elements of what we do. Okay, I'm going to move on from that because I know we don't have a ton of time because we could talk about that for a long time. Topics covered in this session. So what we're really looking at helping you, by the end of this session, what we'd like you to walk away with is helping you understand what this is actually going to cover in the Leadership Circle certification. So it's really covering the certification experience, what differentiates the Leadership Circle from other assessments, what's the actual experience of the assessment itself, who's the intended audience, and how to use LC with your broader engagements. We'll also talk a lot about the support and resources available. The Leadership Circle does a beautiful job of giving coaches and users of the profile amazing backup resources. Here's what our practitioners tell us. So if they're using the LCP in their own practice, they're telling us they've got more impactful and deeper coaching engagements, more focus and efficiency in identifying key themes. And as a result, this actually gives them broader client impact and it attracts new clients and supports clients. So Vinay, I'd love it for you to jump in on this and tell a little bit about, because both Vinay and I are practitioners and we use this tool in almost all of our coaching engagements. So I'd love, Vinay, for you to talk a little bit about how you use this in your practice.
Sure. So I'm going to speak as a practitioner for a moment here. Of course, here as a faculty, but let me speak more practitioner lens. I've been coaching for nearly, I think, about 2 decades now. And when I was a new coach, I was certified in a number of instruments: Hogan, EQI, ESKI, Strength Finders, and others. And those were all fine instruments. But I was wrestling with, it was really getting difficult to gain competency in all of them. It was just spread very thin. And similarly, for my clients, it was just too much to digest and integrate. But over time, I decided to focus my practice exclusively on working with Leadership Circle instruments. And here's why. Number one reason was it took my work from being more transactional coaching to much more transformational, both my own journey as a human being and also of my clients, and took my work to working with more senior leaders in various organizations across the globe, which was really important. Number two, what I experienced, which I didn't know going into it, is Leadership Circle profile became for me an entry point, and the engagement became much longer, much more sticky, and much more impactful, which I was looking for. For me, deep relationships or having impact that goes over time is really critical. The third thing, which I did not anticipate when I first got into this work, was tied to what I mentioned earlier. I was certified in a lot of different instruments. With Leadership Circle, all our instruments are built on the same model, which we call the Universal Model Leadership, which we'll share with you a little bit later on today. And what happened is, whether we're working with individuals, whether working with teams, is on the same framework. So what happens, whichever level, whichever engagement, whether it's individual or team, it's the same framework. So what we experienced is a common framework and a common language got embedded in the organization over time. And that really led to much better conversations, deeper transformation, and much bigger impact. So rather than trying to make sense of different instruments and how they integrate, by using Leadership Circle, it's all the same framework. It became a lot more impactful over time, So those were my three reasons. Now today, as a practitioner, I work only leadership circle instruments and nothing else. It's very intentional by design because of my own experience, both in my own development as a coach and as a human being, and also what I'm experiencing with my leadership clients in a variety of organizations. How about you, Deidre? What is your experience?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to that, Vinay, as you know, but I think I would add a couple things on. One, I would add that when I did my certification, I had called several people, as you do as a coach, because all coaches love to get certified in as many things as possible. And I called a lot of other coaches and asked about the leadership circle profile because they'd been certified in it before. And one of the things they said to me was that you'll never be sorry if you take it, even if you never use the instrument. If you never use the LCP, you'll never be sorry you take it because the self-development journey is so incredibly enriching. I wasn't sure I believed that until I did it. And then it was amazing. Not that we want you to take it and not use it, because that's not what we'd like for you to do. We'd love for you to take it, get your own amazing self-development journey, and then use it, take it out into the world and fulfill that purpose. But it really is a very big self-development tool for everyone that we've seen take it, or not everyone, that's probably too broad, but most people that we see take it, we find it's an incredible self-development tool. The second thing for me with my practices, it was really what I call a super boost of information. So normally when you go into a coaching relationship, and if you're working with individuals or with a team, it takes an awfully long time to get to know a person. It takes a long time to get to know a lot of information about that person. And I love using the LCP 360 because it gives you this beautiful picture, a 360 picture of how bosses, peers, direct reports, and others all see this person in real time. And then, as we'll talk about a little bit later, when Vinay talks a little bit more about the profile, it also helps people see where they are in the competencies. Like what are they doing in the competencies? What are they doing really well? What do they might want to look at doing a little bit better? And then it also shows them in our reactive tendencies what might be getting in the way. And this is a great instrument to tell you about what's getting in your way. So we can say all we want about, you're low in this area and it would be great if you could increase it. But obviously, if you look back at some of Keegan and Leahy's work on immunity to change, there's a lot of research out in the field that says you can't just automatically change and say, oh yeah, I'm just going to increase this. So again, I found it a real super boost for my coaching that really helped us get into a lot more detail and a lot more depth. Okay. So just thinking about the certification goals, I'll share my screen for that one again. These are really our goals for certification. So we want you to be able to understand the leadership circle profile as a model for leadership, right? It really is a 360 assessment tool. And it's also for us so important. And again, tying back to our mission, it's a pathway for development. Be stretched in your own development, which is what I was saying a minute ago, right? With your own LCP assessment, you know how we coaches always talk about we want to actually be able to take an assessment and understand it really well before we try to give it to someone else. That you will take a deep dive into your own LCP assessment. You're going to further understand what the power it is, further understand your own growth. You're really going to get that ability to do your own self-development, and that is no small thing. You'll look at how leadership effectiveness, how that actually means, how you develop into the higher of creative competencies. How does that actually relate to leadership effectiveness? How, if you actually get out of your own way and how you actually increase your competencies in the leadership competencies, that will actually increase your leadership effectiveness. And there's a correlation between that. You'll know how to work through the model. So by the end of our certification, you really are very comfortable in the model. You will have debriefed another person. You'll be able to go out the next week and do one on your own. That's important for us, that when you leave our certification, you're confident enough to know that you can go out and use this assessment the week after. And understand how you can actually use this as part of your coaching engagements, right? Important for us to talk about how you can use it with individuals, how you can use it with teams, how you can sell it. Again, how do you actually use this assessment in order to enrich your own coaching practice? For those of you that are interested in CCEUs, this one's actually a hefty one. It's 20.85 CCEUs for the ICF accreditation. And I think their accreditation is 30 CCUs for each 3 years. So this is going to give you we'll use the super boost word again. This will give you a big chunk of that. This relates a little bit back to that personal insights for me. So as I've done well over 500 LCP debriefs now, so I'm learning more about how I show up as well when I do these debriefs. But I'm really starting to identify my own development. I'm starting to look at patterns and identities, right? I look at how a person actually gets to be the lovely person that they are standing before you. It gives me this invitation to rethink my own identity and development strategies as well. So again, the LCP really gives you that view of you yourself moving along a developmental curve and helping your clients move along the curve as well. This is actually a little more into the technical detail, right? Here's what you're actually going to be looking for as you come to the certification process. So you're going to start off, there's workouts online, and it's almost a leadership management system or a learning management system where you're actually going to go online, you're going to start doing some of the pre-work. You're going to take your own leadership circle profile, which is why you do have to register for an event that you want fairly significantly in advance, because you will be going through the leadership circle profile process yourself. You're going to actually debrief with a very experienced leadership circle profile coach, and they will go over your own debrief with you. Then you're going to go back to your online workout and get ready to come to the live session. The live session can be in 3 or 4 days, and we have many options throughout the US and Europe, as well as Middle East and Africa, right? So there's plenty of time zones for you to choose from, and plenty of places for you to virtually or a couple of in-person sessions as well. Then you're going to participate in those sessions. So there'll be a live element, and that's the bulk of the training will be in the certification, will be in the live. And then after that, you'll just have a few hours to actually complete your post-training online workouts. So it is a process of really moving through it. One of the things we found by inserting the learning management systems in is that you actually come to the certification with a lot deeper knowledge, and you can go deeper within the certification as well. Vinay, you want to add anything there?
Well, I think maybe a good time to just pause and see what questions are coming up, or what is turning in your minds as you're listening to what we're covering so far. We'll talk about what the model is and what kind of support is available to you and so on. But why don't we just hit pause for a moment here and see what's turning in your minds and what questions are coming up for you.
Love that. Yeah.
Anything you're curious about?
Yeah. You can either pop your hand up or you can pop it into chat as well. We have a very quiet group over here, Vinay.
How would the 360 component work if you're an independent solopreneur? Are you referring to getting your own feedback in terms of for yourself as you go through this experience? So, you identify, like I know at least as practitioners, I have my clients give me feedback, my colleagues that I collaborate with, partners. Those are the two big sources as our clients and partners that we work with together. And people that know us well outside of those circles, we use them for feedback to get insights into how we're showing up and how we're being experienced. And I know for me, speaking from my own profile, that feedback has been invaluable. In fact, I came to certification because I was looking for instrument for my own development. And when I read Mastering Leadership, I couldn't put it down. That was the first time I began to get insights into my own reactive tendencies. And I said, there's something here. So I came to certification looking for my own development and going deeper into this. I said, this is amazing work. But it was for my development, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
Deidre, how do you do it?
Yeah, I would say that it goes back to that basic question, the way we look at leadership at the Leadership Circle. Like, we don't necessarily look at leadership in a small, narrow way that says you're only a leader if you have direct reports. Like, you're really a leader in many ways. Like, you're a leader in your own life. You're a leader in you're a leader in your community. You're a leader with your family. You're a leader if you're a solopreneur. You're a leader of typically a team of people that support you or that you support. So we look at leadership with a broader brush. And I think it's a really interesting way to get feedback, especially for solopreneurs or for independent contractors, right? Because those are the people that don't get a lot of feedback. They don't get a lot of the feedback as a general organizational corporate feedback might get. So it's a great way to do it.
And there's a question in the chat about major companies out there that are specifically seeking LCP certified coaches. My own experience is absolutely yes. There's a number of organizations have coaching benches or corporations that have leadership development programs, and they're using LCP in their programs. And they'll say, I want a certified LCP certified coach that's experienced. And so my experience is absolutely yes. How about your, Deirdre? What is your experience with this?
Yeah, I mean, Vinay, you and I have worked on several of these projects together, one with a very large bank where their whole leadership development program is based on the Leadership Circle profile and using that in a year-long program with their high-profile leaders. So again, they're only hiring Leadership Circle profile coaches. We also work for an organization in DC that we do contract coaching with, Vinay and I, that has about 100 coaches, and they're one of the requirements is that you have to be LCP certified. So we find that often because, as Vinay said earlier, the LCP is such a universal tool. We won't get into all of the other tools and all of the other assessments that the Leadership Circle has, but they have a lot of really amazing and substantial ones. So it's also something interesting for you to learn, as you actually have plenty of other assessment resources after it. So it becomes an easy assessment for an organization to use. You also it's very well researched, and you can also do retakes. And there's a huge norm group. There's, I think, over 450,000 now leaders that have taken it. So it brings a lot of clout with it. So that's an interesting piece as well when you're looking at an organization.
Yeah. I can say also that I think about this number of engagement I've been working on and have worked with our clients over the years. If I wasn't LCP certified, I would not have got those opportunities. They were my entry point. We did LCP, that we did other work also, but that was my entry point, and of course part of the engagement. But was I not LCP certified and working with LCP, they would not have come my way. That's my lived experience. So in my case, I can say a resounding absolutely yes. In terms of, there's a great question about measuring success. I think it's, Deirdre mentioned you can do retakes. You get feedback from your raters and your accountability circle saying, how are you doing this leader working in X, Y, and Z? And get ongoing feedback saying, is the needle moving? Is their behavior shifting? Are they more effective than they were before? So there's, we have pulse instruments which you can talk about. There's ongoing feedback from others around the leader. There's retakes in many, many ways of measuring effectiveness and impact. And that's something you also work with your clients on. What would measures of success look like as you enter an engagement? And at some point later on saying, what has changed? So that's something you work with your clients on at the beginning and then along the way to measure impact. Yeah, great questions.
Yeah. And I haven't seen the Bloom's taxonomy, so I'll look that one up, but I don't know that measurement. I don't know if anybody on the call knows that one, but.
Great questions. Let's orient you to the model. Deirdre, if you could put the slide deck. Mm-hmm. We've been saying that Leadership Circle profile is based on a model. Let's share with you what that is. This is a visual rendition. The one in the profile is much more detailed, but as you can see, it's the circle. This will be referred to as a universal model of leadership. And this is the framework in which everything is built in Leadership Circle. Kind of give you a quick overview, and in the certification, you'll go into much more in depth. As you can see, it's a circle. There's an inner circle and outer circle. There's a top half, what we call creative competencies. These are competencies that are well researched, and we have data and studies to prove it. These are the competencies that are correlated with highly effective leadership and strong business performance. The bottom half is what we call reactive tendencies. These tendencies have strengths in them, but when they over-index, because of various reasons, they interrupt the leader's effectiveness. And as we know, the best leaders are both strong in relationships, and they also get things done. They're decisive, they're strategic, they're visionaries, they drive results, and so on. So this is a model against which leaders get feedback, and it reveals their patterns. How are they showing up as a leader? And behaviors also, what are the underlying habits of thought? What are the beliefs? What are the assumptions that are driving those behaviors? And how effective are they at the present moment? And then what it does, once you get the feedback, the leaders identify what's an unlocking move, meaning what's one thing they could work on to really shift the pattern that would help them become more effective as leaders. And then they get to work, they develop into journey. At some point, you redo a retake, and off you go. But that's the model. And then the certification, you'll be learning about the model much more in depth, how to interpret it, how to help your clients interpret the model. Initially, it seems very complex, and it is complex. But it's also elegant. It's very simple once you understand it. And leaders get insight into how they're being experienced as a leader, what they can focus on to become more effective, and then that's the pathway to development. So in the certification, you learn about the model, you learn about how to debrief the model with your clients, you learn about how to create the one big thing with the clients, and what does that look like, and then create a leadership development plan and get on a developmental journey. So that's the model on which everything is built, and you'll be learning about in certification. And with this, we also give you an interpretation manual, which talks about these leadership, what these things mean, what does it look like, someone scores high and someone scores low, and what are some internal assumptions and beliefs that drives those behaviors, both on the creative and reactive. Very comprehensive, written in a business language that leaders can understand. And this is really important. We have research and data to show the connection between how someone shows up on the model to their leadership effectiveness and business performance. Could that answer the question, why invest in leadership development and why work leadership circle profile? We use that study with our clients all the time, and it makes the case for why invest in this work. It's amazingly simple, elegant, and very powerful.
Yeah, and I would add on to there as well, just that the other additional tool that we use is often the leadership development plan. So there's a recommended leadership development plan that after you present the debrief and do the 360 results, that the next session that you're working with a client is on how do they develop a leadership development plan? Like, what is all this amazing amount of information? How do they actually chunk that down into what we call the one big thing that they want to work on? And then how do they actually move through the next 6 to 9 months on that plan?
What typically happens in our experience is a senior leader in an organization will take the LCP and just say, wow, what an amazing experience. I'd like to now take my team to the experience. Then their leaders take it and it cascades in the organization over time. So that creates impact and also creates very, very long-term relationship. It all starts with this particular framework here. Let's go to the next slide here, Deidre. And again, please chime in if any questions. We want this to be a conversation. So how does the LCP work? It's basically an online instrument that people respond to an online survey. There's 124 questions on a 5-point scale, 1 to 5. Takes about 20-25 minutes to complete. And there's also 3 open-ended questions in the survey. Basically, essentially, what is the leader's strengths? What are the leader's opportunities for development and growth? And a third question, any other feedback they like to give to the leader that will support them in their development and becoming more effective. We ideally like at least 10 to 12 raters, or roughly 10 to 12 raters. 5 is a minimum, but again, we think more the better. And there's 5 different rater categories. There's boss's boss and boss, direct reports, peers, and others. So leaders get feedback from 5 different perspectives, 5 different lenses on their how they're being experienced and how they're being by these different rater groups here. The survey is available in 20 plus languages, and it's used very much across around the globe in various variety of countries and variety of organizations. It's pretty user friendly, and the report is very concise and very visual and very actionable, which is what we love about that. We're not going to give you a 70, 80 page report. This is short, to the point, that you can say, let's turn this into insights, into action that supports growth and development, and ultimately better business outcomes. That's what leaders are up to. How do we deliver better results? Next slide.
There's a great question in the chat too, Vinay. We might want to do that before.
What's the question here? Help me out here, Deidre.
Nate was saying he's curious about how much of the leadership circle profile development plan and debrief is focused on the leader as an individual, like be the best you can, and how much of the 360 incorporates feedback inputs from the leader's team, build the best team for success. That's a great question.
I need to have a moment to think.
Yeah, I can start if you want me to start.
Go ahead, please.
I got to read it before you did.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love the question, Nate, because it really is that piece about, it's one of the reasons why I love the leadership circle profile development plan. And I love leadership circle profile assessment versus like an in-house assessment, because an in-house assessment tends to get you, like what's the best thing for you to do to fit in here? And your answers to the in-house assessment are often seen by a lot of people, including your boss. And so there's a different way of looking. This is all anonymous. And so it is really, because it's all anonymous except for the boss and the boss's boss, right? The boss and the boss's boss they can actually be just one person in the category and they are not anonymous, but everybody else gets to be anonymous. And so for me, it's not this build the best team for success. It really is honest, independent feedback from a large range of people within your working life, and also could be in another piece of your life as well. Because we have a category called other that often people will use for a nonprofit board they set on, or some other type of external, maybe clients. But I think you do get this. You don't get the sort of company feedback from this. You really get, what does this person think about me as a leader, right? I don't know if that answered the question enough, Nate. You can more than welcome to come off if you'd like to ask that in a different way, or if I didn't actually connect with the depth of that.
Yeah, and the feedback can be from both lenses, right? Here's things, leader, you can focus on to become more effective as an individual. And here's things you can do to drop a more effective team. In fact, I'm working with the CEO of a banking institution right now. And that was his feedback. Here are things you can work on, CEO. And here are some things you need to work on to build a better executive leadership team. And now he's working on both fronts, his own development, and also he's taking action to develop a more effective executive leadership team that's more cohesive, more aligned, holding each other accountable, so it can address both fronts. Depends on the feedback that's given to the leader. Absolutely. It's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. Nate, did that get that? I can't see you right now on my screen, but come off mute and just let me know if that got it or not.
Yeah, I really appreciate the perspectives on that. I mean, obviously, leadership is multifaceted. It's three-dimensional chess. At least the leader, team, and kind of, I guess, is the business. So I appreciate that perspective, because it's trying to think through how do you make the leader the best that they can be, but you have to have the feedback, right? Because it's important up and out, boss's boss, but it's very important for the team. How do they experience the leader? How does the team get after the mission? So I appreciate kind of how this fits in with that.
Yeah. And we could go into a lot more. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Vinay.
There's a question about prepare leader to lead AI. Can you elaborate on that question, that particular one? Because to me, AI is content, and content varies by different organizations and depending on what they're leading. But can you elaborate the question, please? Because content is always going to vary, is how they lead whatever the content is. And we can circle back as you're typing into that as well. Yeah. Deidre, should we go on to the next slide in the meantime?
Okay. I think it was Dr. Cohen that had the question about the leadership. So if you'd like to step back in, Dr. Cohen, just come off mute.
Best is just unmute yourself and dive in.
Okay, sorry, I'm sharing again. Oh, sorry, that's not the thing I wanted to share.
Hi, this is Joel Cohen. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, what I was asking was, as you think about your learning, your leadership development activities, AI today is very much a new technology, not so much a human. But as AI becomes more sophisticated, it will be more human-like and less of a technology. AI already is becoming a member of the team. AI is interacting with humans. AI is buying stuff. It becomes a buyer. It becomes a seller. It takes an action. How do you teach leaders and develop leaders who will be able to manage and lead that technology. They're not CIOs. They're not IT people. They're not necessarily. They may be a sales leader, for example, but they're going to have to manage a non-human entity who acts on their team just like the other human members of the team. In fact, they're going to have to play nice together in the same playground. And so my question is, what are you going to change in your learning development program that will include skill to be able to manage a non-human entity that is more human-like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it might be out of the scope of what we're actually talking about today, because today we're really talking about the Leadership Circle Profile certification. And one of the things you'll hear is...
But eventually you're going to have to certify people in that technology as well.
Yeah.
Right? As part of it. So I just wondered what your future thinking is. That's all.
Yeah, I think probably one of the answers for that, and then I'll let Vinay jump in as well, or because I think it really is the piece about one of the things you'll hear us say if you take this LCP certification over and over again is this is not a prescriptive tool. Like this is actually an assessment that really helps your coaching practice. So what you're going to do with the assessment is once you get it and you work on it with your own individual clients, is you're going to build that into what the already good and amazing coaching you're doing now is, right? So I would say that's going to be a whole piece for all of us coaches to learn about how we're going to deal with AI as a person in the room, which I think is a great point, is something that we're all going to be learning at the same time as we're going to be managing assessments and regular coaching engagements. I think from the Leadership Circle point, they have been doing a lot of work within AI. And I'm not sure, Doug, would you be the person to speak to that a little bit, or?
Yeah, I'm not the AI guy on the team, but I can speak. We have thought a lot about it. We have teams working on it right now. It's definitely part of, our focus over the next few years. Our CIO, our head of product, they're all over it. And we've thought a lot about, how do we as leaders think about AI, everything that you're talking about, Dr. Cohn, it's important. And I don't know that we are ahead of it. I don't know that anybody's ahead of it right now. I think it's a good societal question. We're definitely thinking about it. As Deidre mentioned, that's not really the focus right now. I do think, it's our purview that as individuals, as leaders, we need to be as equipped as possible in our own, spaces, in our own leadership to lead into the future. We talk a lot about VUCA. I'm sure most of you have heard of VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, all of that. We're feeling that right now in our society. And so that's why we feel like leadership development is so crucial, as we as humans have to figure out how to lead into this new day, this new time. So we don't have it figured out right now, but it's something that we're focused on and moving forward.
Just to make you aware, I just did a survey of 70 organizations that teach leadership development, and I got back lots of great responses. I'm publishing a book on it with respect to leadership of the future, and one of the key points is that you must include an ability to manage AI. You can't just think about it. You got to be teaching it now, because in the next 3, 4, 5 years, those managers, those leaders will have to manage AI. They can't just sit back and think about it and say, well, that's IT's department. No, it's not. You have to manage AI. So my point is, I just did a survey of 70 organizations, got back lots of great data on it. You will see it in a book that's coming out before the end of the year. But I was just curious what you folks were thinking about it, because from a certification point of view, you've got to be certified, yes, to include the ability to manage AI now. Because you're going to be a leader come January.
I think we're all learning how to use this new technology. As a coach, I'm learning how to use it. I'm experimenting as well. So I think today we're learning about the instrument itself. And what you mentioned, Joel, is a great point. That certainly is a digital technology. And Leadership Circle, we have a competency called personal learner. How much learning is the leader doing in terms of new technologies and new ways of leading? That's part of it as well in the instrument. So that's the connection to it. But thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
It's a great
Thank you
point.
for answering my question. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time with it.
You're welcome, sir. Let's go back to the slide deck, Deidre. So we talked about universal model leadership. Let's talk about ongoing support. Once you're certified, what then, right? We have a whole community there's an LCP study group. There's various groups around the globe that are very active and very supportive. You have a question, you're working on an engagement, you're looking for some sample decks, some sample whatever. It is an amazingly helpful community because we want you to get certified in an instrument, but ultimately it's about having an impact. So if you're certified but not out taking it to your clients, it doesn't create the impact. So we have a lot of webinars and educational programs, support you in your business development. So once you learn about the instrument, also know how to work with and how to take it into your clients. So there's a lot of support available to you once you're certified. So certification doesn't end. That's the beginning of a journey. So there's many community members around here, and both in Europe and North America and other regions that are supporting you in your journey. So lots of support, ongoing support to both deepen your competency in working with these instruments, take it to your client, to how to sell it, how to work with them, because it's a whole journey. And all the support is throughout the journey for you. So next slide, Deidre.
Can I just add something there, Vinay? Do you mind?
Yeah, of course. Please do.
Yeah. I mean, well, the other thing I was going to say that we won't have time to cover today is just that there's so many additional resources. We consider like the Leadership Circle profile as our foundational assessment, but we also have a pulse assessment that allows you to do measurements of the leadership development plan in a three set assessment so that you can actually have that more, how is this person doing, and follow up if you're looking at measurement or you have an organization that measurement's so important. We have a collective leadership assessment that helps do this piece about how's the effective leadership looking at a senior level team or any level team. We have a assessment called Bright that actually looks at team cohesion and team building, team development. So again, while we don't have time to go over all of these pieces with you today, I just want you to know that there is a suite of different assessments, with this being our foundational one.
Lot to work with. Over 400,000 leaders have taken LCP, and it keeps growing every year by leaps and bounds. Evaluated over 3.5 million raters, over 11,000 practitioners around the globe and growing. So again, very powerful work. So next slide is simply give you a list of some of our sample clients, organizations that are using the Leadership Circle profile, as well as other instruments like Pulse and Collective Leadership Assessment, Bright, and so on, Honda, McDonald's, Google, Microsoft, Fidelity. These are just a few of the names, but many of the S&P 500 and beyond are active users of Leadership Circle profile and various Leadership Circle instruments. And again, it continues to grow amazingly because the work is impactful. What more can we say, right? They'll speak for themselves. And finally, I think there was one slide about, so can we go back to the deck? I think there was a couple more slides here, Deidre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who is this for, the LCP? Ultimately, it's for coaches who are working with leaders and executives in various organizations, emerging leaders, seasoned leaders, VPs, directors, and so on, and those who are committed to personal development. Those are the folks who come into this work. So that's your focus area. This is a great place to be. If someone's doing other kinds of coaching, life coaching, career coaching, may or may not fit, but definitely if you're focused on personal growth and leadership development, working with that level of organizations, this is the instrument for you. And then in Leadership Circle, we have two different within Leadership Circle profile. One is a regular LCP, which is more, we would say, for directors, VPs, and C-suite leaders. Then we have what we call a manager edition, which we say is for more emerging leaders, first line supervisors. It's a lighter version, only 84 questions opposed to 124. Same framework, but it's a lighter version that's more suited, more targeted for emerging leaders.
Yeah. And you are certified when you take the LCP profile certification, you get certified in both of those assessments.
Yeah. And that's about the LCP. Let's open this up and questions for you. What else is coming up? What else would you like to know? Again, we can speak as practitioners and as faculty members. We wear both hats, and we bring both lenses here.
I'm going to put Vinay, you and I's emails in the chat right now, just so that people can actually have them if they have questions afterwards as well.
Yeah. So Christy, so the LCP is certified. This is really designed for working with individual leaders. However, when you're working with a leadership team, let's say each leader did the LCP, you can kind of back into teamwork as well with that. You can use that to build a team and make it stronger. With that said, there are two different instruments that are separate, which we call BRIGHT and the Connect Leadership Assessment. Those are designed specifically for assessing team effectiveness. But Leadership Circle is used oftentimes in teamwork as well, but it's really a focus on individual leaders.
Yeah. It's actually a great team tool to use with senior leadership teams or any type of an intact team that's working together. Because one of the things that the basic piece of the Leadership Circle profile does is give your whole organization the language of speaking about leadership. So they can start speaking about leadership together in the same type of language. And then there's a lot of different activities, including like half-day workshops that you can do with the team by using their own LCP results, which are private. Like the Leadership Circle is quite strict about saying, hey, the only person that gets to see your Leadership Circle profile results are you and your coach, right? You can share them with whoever you like, but nobody else gets to see them unless unless the leader themselves approves it, right? So it's a great tool though for using with teamwork, because you can actually share different things about what you're working on. And I use it with teams all the time, right? So it's a way for a team to actually start using their own individual self-development and then choose a goal that actually works with their individual self-development and what the team might be looking at doing.
There's a question about it. We don't use this for hiring. It's more for, at least not to my knowledge or my experience, it's used more for development. And how it's different? Well, geez, that would imply we know about all the other leadership instruments. I don't know. But what we do know is that it focuses both on the outer game and the inner game. What are the leadership competencies and behaviors? And also what are the internal assumptions and beliefs that are driving that behavior? So it kind of goes much deeper. It's also connected to vertical development. So it doesn't measure it, but it does point to where someone is on their vertical development and what they can focus on and work on to grow vertically. So again, it's very transformational, not just transactional. I think, when do coaches come into becoming LCP certified? I can only speak from my own experience. I'm looking for something for my own development. I loved it so much. I said, this is the work I want to do with leaders. So it's really a developmental tool. But also, I think coaches are looking for a really strong instrument that's focused on target leadership to working with leaders. And it's a very research-based, data-driven 360.
Yeah.
And that also has data to back up the connection to not just the 360, the model, but also how does it connect to effectiveness and business performance? LC has all those things in our experience.
And we're going to hand this back to Sarah to close, but we'll also put into the links the chat of our next certification. So we have an in-person certification in the Washington, D.C. metro area. That's our last in-person of the year. So Megan's put the link in for that. Vinay and I are going to be facilitating that in the Washington, D.C. area. And it's got about a week before it closes. So if you're interested in person, that's a great one to look at. Then we'll also put into the chat the link for registration for all of our LCP certifications. Again, I've put Vinay and I's email there. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. And Sarah, I'll pass it back over to you.
Well, Deirdre and Vinay, thank you so much. This has been a really rich conversation. And also, thank you to everyone in the chat. You've asked really good questions. I did see one come through to me personally that wasn't shared broadly. So maybe I'll just ask that real fast since we've got a few extra minutes. And that was when you mentioned ongoing resources, this person had a question about, is there training that comes from the Leadership Circle system, or and I thought immediately of the study group that's available and other resources that you might have that is kind of ongoing teaching moments or training moments for coaches to become certified.
I would say that the ongoing teaching moments from the Leadership Circle are amazing. So there's typically in my inbox a seminar on some piece of the Leadership Circle profile or some piece of the systems almost weekly. So there's a lot of complementary training for coaches. There's also an informal community group. It's called the LCP Global Practitioner Group now. You can join that once you're certified, and it's a group of over 1,000 participants now worldwide that actually will be your peers in Leadership Circle profile. You can ask any questions, get advice, look for work, put work out. It's just a really great and very robust community organization. So.
And there's community gatherings, like, for example, Deidre and I are leading a community gathering on September 11th. And we're going to be talking about specifically Bright and collective leadership assessment. So we learn through experience and learn together in community. We'll be doing a mat work at some point, which you'll learn about in certification. So a lot of, more community events as well to both build community and get to know each other at a deeper level, and also be learning together as a community. So again, certification is simply the starting point. But there's a lot of support beyond the certification, because we really want you to work with these instruments to create impact.
We want you to be successful. And there are so many resources for being successful with this assessment, and an incredibly generous community on top of that. And actually, the Leadership Circle is incredibly generous with resources as well. Once you're certified, you have it used to be called LCGO. Now what is it called now? The Partner Center. The Partner Center. And so within the Partner Center, there's PowerPoints and training videos on how to use the system, brochures to give out to your clients, videos. So again, the resources are incredible.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Listen, we're 5 minutes to the top of the hour, so we are going to wrap things up. If you have any other questions, I know Deirdre and Vinay, their email addresses are in the chat. There's also several links there. As Deirdre mentioned, we have certification dates coming up, including an in-person certification in September in the DC metro area, with these two as your facilitators. I can also vouch for Vinay. He was one of my certification instructors, so I'll put a plug in for that too. But that registration is closing soon. So be sure to check the links in the chat along with our other certification resources. You can always check out our website for more information as well. As soon as I'm done talking, we are going to close the room. So I just want to let you know and remind you once again that, remember, this has been recorded, and you will be getting an email in your inbox with a link to the recording, as well as a summary of some key takeaways from today's discussion. This has been a really great conversation, and we are thrilled to have you both with us and to have everyone who has joined us on the call with us as well. So with that, I'm just going to say, on behalf of Leadership Circle and, of course, our featured guests today, Deirdre and Vinay, my name is Sarah, and saying thank you once again for spending a little bit of your day with us. Take care, and we hope to see you again soon.
Bye-bye. See you. Bye. Thank you for being here.